Roy T. Bennett said, "We only persevere with our resilience and commitment." But then most of us actually fear commitment. We have fear to commit to our different relationships, our work, our careers, our businesses, our dreams in life. And that brings us to today's first session's topic, fear of commitment and how to overcome it. I'm Hannah Katyamba, aka Miss Tramzy Angel, and welcome to Minutes with Tramzy. I am super excited about today. Today is our first session, and welcome to Minutes with Tramzy. And we're going to be sharing the fear of commitment as our topic today. So I did an extensive research, and I finally came up with several reasons to why people might have a fear to commit to different sectors of their lives. We will talk about all these reasons, and I will talk about what the reasons are and what can be done to actually overcome these reasons and causes of fear. I personally, I've had friends actually tell me that I have commitment issues, mainly because I've had relationships and I've ended relationships. And they've actually told me, no, you have commitment issues. And I'm like, what? Me? Hannah, having commitment issues? Nah, honey, I'm afraid of my time being wasted because something that I thought was the real deal ended up to be a dead ill. I mean, do you get it? I mean, but then I found out, same WhatsApp group, time being wasted and fear of commitment, same WhatsApp group. If you fear that your time is being wasted in a relationship, you are fear of commitment in that relationship. If you fear that if you start a business journey and it might just end up to be something that is going to be a loss, you are afraid of commitment. If you fear that some friendships are just time wasting, you fear that one day, obviously, at the end of this university or high school or work seminar, is at the end of everything, that friendship is going to expire. You are afraid of committing to that relationship. My first reason being the fear of thinking there's someone out there better or there's something out there better. You know, we're just humans, and human beings are competitive and proud beings. We are always thinking that there's something out there that is better. We are always thinking the grass is greener on the other side. But have you tried watering your own grass? Have you tried taking care of the grass that you already have and see whether it's going to bloom and be green and even greener than the one that is next door? You know, many other times that we are in a career or a job and we think that there's something that is better out there. We think that we can find a job that is way better than what we are doing and we can benefit more from what we have already. And that leads us to actually quitting or acting in certain ways that may actually lead us to getting fired or lead us to losing what we already have. And you know, like they say, you never miss the water until it's gone. But the solution to actually thinking that there's something or somebody out there who is better is to embrace and look at the benefits that already are with the person or the thing, the job or the business that you already have. What can you do or what have you done to make that person or that situation better? Have you worked on that person? Have you worked on your job and on your business? Have you actually tried to see if there are other ways that you can make things better for them or for yourself? It's actually the worst when you actually know that the person you're with thinks there's somebody out there who is better. There will always be somebody who is prettier. There will always be somebody who is taller or shorter than you. There will always be somebody who's got more money or a bigger heart than you. But because that person chose you and chooses to stick by you and grow and invest their time and everything in you, you should look at that benefit. I am not saying you should settle. I am not saying you should settle, honey. Do not settle for what you do not want to settle for. Do not settle just because I say, okay, since Miss Tramzy actually said that there is nothing out there that is better, it's better you work with what you have. If you are not happy in a relationship, then you would rather be alone than be in a relationship or be in a career that is not making you happy. If you have tried everything in your power to make things right in that relationship, in that career, in that job, and everything seems to be against this relationship and that job, then maybe it is time to move on. That will not be a fear to commit because you gave it your all. And even as you walk away from it, you will be like, I tried my best. I did not give up on it, but I tried my best. And all the odds were against it. So, what I am telling you right now is to try to be content with what you have. Gratitude is the key to most of our success. If we are grateful for what we already have, we will be able to receive more. My next reason or cause of why people are afraid or we are afraid of commitment and what leads to the fear of commitment is because of the bad examples of relationships that we have seen and that we have endured. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't have the perfect example of a perfect relationship, of a perfect marriage. I had my aunties, I had my uncles, I had my parents, and they didn't give me the perfect example of being in a steady relationship, in being in a healthy relationship. Because all I saw was disagreements and arguments and fights, one after the other, divorce. And that actually changed my whole perspective on what love is and what a relationship should look like. And you know, that actually is discouraging because that brought out the fear of me committing to somebody. You know, my parents were high school lovers, so I was told. But they had the good side of their marriage, but the bad side started to weigh much more than the good side as time went on. And that gave me the thought of, is this how everything will last and then just end up falling apart without even having hope of fixing it? Divorce nowadays has become so common. The divorce rates go higher every year in all countries of the world. And it's very sad because that shows that the concept of commitment, the marriage commitment, the long life commitment, which is marriage, is weak,
it has become weak throughout the years. That traditional marriage that helped people fight for what they have is becoming weaker year by year because of the bad example of relationships that we have been able to go through and to see.
And it's not just the relationships that I have seen around me, but it's also the relationships that I've been in. I can talk about the relationship that really broke me was the first ever relationship where I discovered that I loved a man. That relationship was my first love, but definitely not my last, thank God. But it was not my good when I was in that relationship, I felt like a fool. I felt like a fool for being in that relationship because the man I was in that relationship with kept on cheating and I kept on forgiving him. Maybe because I thought that if I stayed, I can build a family with him and our daughter. But I reached the point where I put my foot down and I said, enough is enough. I'm going to turn away from this relationship and never look back. And I'm happy to say that even after that I went through, that bad relationship, I did not close my doors on love. I did not close my doors on relationships. I almost did. But then another love found me. A love that showed me that this is going to be different. A love that showed me that this is how it should be. I'm not married, and that love did not last. But I'm grateful that I had it because it reminded me that love and commitment is worth the risk.
So now, I would like to talk about what we can do to actually overcome this fear of commitment that is brought about by the examples that we have endured and that we have seen. First of all, we need to surround ourselves with people that have got healthy relationships, people that will remind us that commitment is actually something that is worth taking the risk. Commitment is a beautiful thing. And despite the ups and downs of commitment, there will always be a way to make it up in that commitment. We should surround ourselves with people that are able to tell you that I fell down 7 times, but I got up 8 times. And the 8th time, I managed to persevere in my business. I managed to persevere in my career. I managed to persevere with my dreams. We need to surround ourselves with people who have positivity. Their minds are not full of sick and demented thoughts about commitment.
I can give you an example. If somebody wants to quit smoking and you surround yourself with people who are always smoking, you will not quit smoking because you will always see it as something that is normal. You will always see it as something that you want to continue doing. But if you associate with yourself with people who hate smoking and who know that smoking is not good for their health, you will surely be motivated to stop and stay away from that cigarette. It's same applied to commitment. If we associate ourselves with people who are positive and people who see that commitment is the only way we're going to persevere, we are going to persevere with them. So my third reason and cause of having fear of commitment, that will lead to fear of commitment, is the fear of being vulnerable and feeling trapped in a relationship. You know, I have felt vulnerable and trapped in relationships before. And this is not because the man was abusing me or sexually abusing me or physically abusing me or he was just no, it's a mental situation. It's a mental fight that each one and every one of us has obviously felt. I felt trapped because I felt like I cannot be who I want to be around him. I felt vulnerable because when I show my weakness, it became a strength to him. And this brought out a fear of commitment because the fear, because me committing into another relationship meant me feeling vulnerable and me feeling trapped. You know, you will feel like you do not have the freedom to be who you want to be or to do what you want to do. You can feel like you're trapped in a certain job because you do not reach your full potential. You can feel that you're trapped in a certain relationship because you do not express yourself fully. And you know, feeling trapped in a relationship is just the worst thing that you can ever feel. Despite everything else being good, the feeling of being trapped in a relationship ruins it all. The feeling of being trapped in a career choice ruins it all. The feeling of being vulnerable to your dreams or to your commitment is just not the greatest feeling.
I figured out vulnerability is important for growth. When you feel vulnerable in a relationship or in any situation, then you are showing your weakness and you are showing that you are human. You are not always competitive. You are not always proud, but you also have your vulnerable side. And you want to express that vulnerable side and not just keep it to yourself. You want to let the other person know that this is your fear, that this is what you don't like. And that actually makes room for growth. And you feeling trapped sometimes is just a state of the mind. You are not trapped. You can't say you are trapped and yet go on with your day the normal way that you actually go on with it. That's not being trapped. You just feel that you're trapped, but you're not. The only solution to this fear is you standing up for yourself and you making a change in your life. You will get up, even though you're feeling trapped or you're feeling vulnerable, you will get up and make that day better than it was the previous.
Fight for your freedom. You should find freedom in love. If you find freedom in love, life is made easier. Freedom to grow with your partner. Freedom to explore new phases of your life with your partner or even alone. When you have that freedom and your partner supports you, that should be the greatest feeling. Because when your partner supports what you want to do and who you want to be, that's the only way the feeling of being trapped and vulnerability will go away. You have to speak out. But the only problem is if you speak out and you see no change, and you see that you are really trapped, and it's not just a state of mind, but your partner or your job or your business is really trapping you to being a greater person, then you can have the right to drop it. Then you do not have the fear of commitment, but you are afraid of losing yourself to fear. You are afraid of losing yourself while you're being trapped and vulnerable. So you have to do something about it, because if you do not find freedom in love, you will not get rid of the fear of vulnerability and the fear of being trapped.
Number 4, fear of commitment is brought about through false, unrealistic expectations. Now, it has been said, or actually, I believe, expectations lead to disappointments. And because people are scared of being disappointed, that their expectations will not be met, or the person will have unrealistic expectations on them, the fear of commitment comes about.
I've been in a relationship where I have false expectations that I have to meet, unrealistic expectations that I have to meet, where this person or this man will expect me to actually do things that I know I cannot do, will expect me to actually be there for them 100%, while they give me 40 or 50%. I've been in situations whereby I start a business and I have unrealistic expectations of this business growing overnight or in a short period. And because this does not happen, I get disappointed. I get disappointed and I get scared to actually venture into another business because I have unrealistic expectations. And many of us actually go through this fear, the fear of being disappointed that our expectations will not be met by people around us, by our work that we put in. One thing that we should always know is that not every day is Christmas. And that every situation has got a negative side. We should always be prepared for disappointment. We shouldn't anticipate disappointment, but we should be prepared in case of disappointment. We do not break down. We do not have fear, but we just say, let's move on.
To get rid of the disappointment and the fear of not being able to meet these unrealistic expectations, or not somebody being able to meet these unrealistic expectations, we have to do things without expectations. If we do not expect the good out of something we are actually doing, then even if it actually goes bad, we'll just be like, okay, I tried this, let me try the next one. Let's see how the next one is going to turn out. If we get into a relationship, we don't have to beat around the bush. If you have expectations, you better lay them down at the beginning of the relationship. Lay them down and be honest about it. Hit the nail on the head. Don't beat around the bush. I always say that being direct and communication is the key to any relationship. If you are scared of being disappointed, or if you have expectations, you lay them down and ask that person if they can meet those expectations. and not let a person get into a relationship that they're being trapped into doing things they do not even want to do.
Also, do not rely on other people to make you happy. Do not rely on other parties to come in and fulfill your dreams. Because you will expect other people to make you happy, and you will expect other people to fulfill your dreams exactly the way you want them to, but you will end up getting disappointed. Hence, you will fear to commit to anything else. Life is too short to beat around the bush. Life is too short to fear being adventurous. Life is too short to venture into new businesses and new relationships. We have to experience failure in order to grow. We have to experience disappointment in order to align our expectations. The last and not the least of my causes and reasons is time. Time plays a big factor as a fear of commitment. It brings about fear of commitment in the sense that, people who are in my age range, both male and female, they're obviously just reluctant. Or they're also scared to commit into any relationship because they'll be like, okay, I'm still young. And most marriages actually just work out with people who are older. I'm still young. And the business world is not ready for me. I'm still young. I still have time.
Well, let me tell you something. It's never too early to get married. It's never too late to fulfill your dreams. It's never too early to begin your dreams. It's never too late to find love. If you aspire to start a business, if you aspire to start a multi-million-dollar company, start it now. Start it now so that even though you fall 8 times, you will get up 9 times, and you will still have time to say, I went through those 8 times, but on this 9th time, I may be 50 years old, I may be 60 years old, but I have gone through all the failures with pride and with growth. Failure is only failure if you see it as failure.
A wise man uses each second to grow himself. Time is of the essence. I have seen people graduate at the age of 50, their first high school diploma. I have seen people graduate at the age of 18, their first university degree. I have seen people that have graduated with a PhD at the age of 25. Do not align yourself in somebody else's timeline. Just because somebody else discovered the love of their life at a later age doesn't mean that you have to wait for that stage for you to discover you're the love of your life. Just because somebody became successful at the age of 19, just because Kylie Jenner is already a multi-billionaire and she is hell younger than me, but I can't say that I am now too old to chase after my dreams because Kylie Jenner has already been a billionaire and she was young enough. No. It's never too late to chase your dreams. It's never too late to find true love. People have married even at the age of 80 and found the love of their lives at the age of 80. Can you imagine that? Everything in life has a timeline.
And the other section that I would like to tackle is those people who actually want to, they're workaholics mostly. They'll tell themselves, okay, I'm in my 20s. I am going to make sure I work on my work only. I'm going to dedicate my life on my work throughout. Work day in, day out. And they do not actually have a social life. And then at the age of 40, they decide, okay, let's now try to look for Mrs. Right or Mr. Right. And they end up not finding that person because Mr. Right and Mrs. Right was trying to get to them when they were trying to be successful. But they ended up with somebody else because they were too busy for them. That is not how things should be. We have to learn how to balance our lives. We have to know what time is for what. We need to know that, okay, this time is time for me to work on my dreams. And this time it's time for me to work on my social status. The other section, the other group of people is the people who say, oh yeah, I'm still young at this moment. I can play around, I can sleep around, and later I will find the love of my life. No. That is not how it's supposed to be. If you decide to find the true love later, while the true love is still there, like right there currently, you will end up missing out. If you do not know how to balance your life, do not expect your life to be balanced later, because you would have already missed out that thing in your life. So let's try not to be greedy with our time. Let's try to give our time and divide our time, because life is too short. We've been given a specific amount of time on this earth, and we are supposed to enjoy every section of it.
And there you have it, beautiful angels. Those are actually my causes of fear of commitment as well as the solutions. I hope this really helps many people out there, and I hope that you are able to understand and we're going to be able to interact through the comments. Please subscribe to my channel, Hannah Tramzy Angel Katyamba, and I will see you next time on Tramzy Minutes. Enjoy.